Yo, what's good, my people? You're locked in with me, and today we're about to level up your CSS skills. Now, you want to make your website look slick. You want to take that basic HTML and CSS and turn it from Bruck to Leng. It's all about CSS structure. Like building a solid block, if your foundation is shaky, it's all falling apart. But once we pattern it up, your site's going to be looking clean. So let's jump in, pattern the CSS, and get your webpage looking nice. You ready? Let's go. All right, let's kick things off with how to actually apply CSS to your HTML. Now you've got three main methods, and each one has its pros and cons. Now the most common way is to use an external style sheet. So similar to how we have this styles.css file right here, as you can see, it's within the same directory as index.html. So we'll just be using the href of styles.css to access it. Now, if this was within a folder, let's say called styles, this is how we'd be able to use that file. Similarly, if it was one level above, we would have to use the file like this. You link to the file using the link element, and just put the relation is a style sheet, and we have this filled in as for the href. And now within the styles.css, as you can see, we've got some styling for h1 and changing the color for the paragraphs to red. So why go external? A big benefit is that you can link the same style sheet in multiple HTML pages, keeping your styles consistent across the site. And then also you only need to update one file, and then boom, your changes are applied everywhere. So now an internal style sheet is when you include the CSS directly in your HTML. So let me show you how to do that here. Let's copy this. I'll remove this for now. And let me create a style tag here and paste this within here. So here I've got the style tag, and I've got the h1 styling and the paragraph styling within my HTML document. Now, this is all right for small projects, but it can get quite out of hand for large projects. So if your site only has 1 or 2 pages, an internal style sheet might do the trick. Also, this could be useful if you have some CMS restrictions. So sometimes when you're working with content management systems, it might be difficult to link to external files. So then you could style within the HTML. So if you've got multiple pages on a website, you'll have to repeat the same styles in each one. And then also, if you want to change your style globally, this can be quite tedious because you'll need to go through each page and update the styling in each page. Now, finally, there are inline styles. These are CSS declarations placed directly inside the HTML elements themselves. So we could do this by adding the style attribute, and let's say you could put, let's actually match what we have up here. So it would be color equals blue, background color yellow, and as well border of 1 pixel solid black. And to actually see this, so you can see here, if I was to take this style out, as you can see, the style is being applied with the inline style. Let's just match this, because the style did actually have, the paragraph did have a color thread here. You can see that's being applied. However, with inline style, I'll say it's usually best to try to avoid it. So let's see it here. Yeah, inline styles can be quite a bit messy, making your code harder to read and maintain. And then also it's quite inefficient. If you're trying to make a change, you'll have to track down exactly where you've made that change in your HTML and update them individually, which isn't the smoothest approach. Now, it can be useful in some circumstances. Now, if you're working in an environment where you can't access external or internal style sheets, then inline styles might be your only option. Or in HTML emails, inline styles are often used to ensure compatibility across different email clients. All right, let's talk about one of the most crucial parts of CSS, which is selectors. Now, this is where you tell your CSS exactly what to target in your HTML. So whether it's a headline, a link, a paragraph, or even something more complex like the first child of a paragraph inside a box. If your styles aren't showing up the way you expected, there's a good chance your selector isn't matching the element how you think it should. Now, first, let's actually link back our style sheet. So just use, yeah, and let's also remove these inline styles. Okay. So every CSS rule kicks off with a selector or a list of them. Now, this is a way of saying, hey, browser, this is what I want you to style. So let me show you some examples. So a few ways that we can target selectors. The first way is, let's say, with a class. So let's say if we want this to be a color green. Now what we can do is add a class to the element of special. And once I save, this should change from red to green. And as we can see, that's what's happened. Also, another way that we can target something is adding an ID. So let's say we add the ID of title, and to target IDs, we'll need to do the hash. Yeah, it's showing me just there. And let's say, yeah, purple. So this heading should now turn from blue to purple. As you can see, that's what's happening. So now let's talk about specificity. Specificity is like the pecking order of CSS. Let's use this as an example. We've got this styling that says the paragraph should be red. However, we've got this class that's showing the color should be green for the paragraph with the class of special. So which color wins? Would it be red or green? Now, as we can see here, green is actually showing. Now let's actually move this even above. So even though here it's showing that the paragraph should be red, the paragraph's actually showing green. So why is it that the paragraph's showing green, even though we've got the red styling for paragraph here? Now, this is because the class of special has more specificity than the simple paragraph selector. So in the world of CSS, classes beat element selectors every time. But hold up, what about two selectors that target the same elements? So let's actually remove this styling and here. And save it. So the paragraph's gone back to red. So let's say if we have a paragraph styling of, let's say green. So in this case, the paragraph will change to green because the last rule is the one that sticks. So if we have styling with the same specificity for the same element or the same class, the last rule is what's going to stick. All right, so CSS at its core is all about properties and values. Now think of properties as the specific features you want to style, like the size of your font, the width of a box, or even the background color. Now values, on the other hand, are how you define those styles. Essentially, you're telling the browser, this is how I want it to look. So let's see, for the paragraph here, we've got the property of color and we've got the value of green. Now that pairing of color green is what we call a CSS declaration. Now, when you group these declarations in curly braces, so as we have here, it's just one item, or see, we have the heading. We have three different CSS declarations. When you pair all of these CSS declarations together, now you've got a CSS rule set. Now, setting CSS properties to specific values is how you control the layout and the style of your web page. Now, the CSS engine in your browser goes through all of these rules and figure out which ones to apply to each element on the page. Just show you a few examples of some properties to work with. So we've got the color, background color, and border. Other ones is like width, which we can control the width of an element. And just because we haven't used it, let's say font size, I can create this to be, let's say 50 pixels, which would be huge. And yeah. Now, but remember, CSS is case insensitive. So if you've written color in all caps, it doesn't matter. As you can see here, because this is after the first declaration, is being overridden by this line here. All right, let's talk about one of the most important tools in your CSS arsenal. These little guys are called @rules. Now, @rules tell your CSS how to behave under certain conditions. It's like giving your styles special instructions to follow them when the time is right. One of the most straightforward @rules is import, which tells you to pull in another style sheet into your current one. So we can use that just by using the @ sign and import. And for example, let's change this to styles2.css. So let's say if we had a file called styles2.css, this would then import this file within here. I'll say that's just the start. One of the most common at rules you'll bump into is at media. Now, this one's a game changer because it lets you create media queries, which is conditional logic that applies to different styles based on things like screen size. And this is very commonly used. All right, let's do this example. Let's change the background color for the body. And let's say it's blue. It doesn't look particularly nice, but let's just go with it. And we use the at media. And let's say, yeah, min width of 600 pixels. It changes the body to red. So now let's just move this to make it easy. So whenever it's less than 500 pixels or 600 pixels, sorry, it is then changing the color back to blue as we have here. And if not, then it goes to red. So you're going to run into a lot of other at rules as you keep learning, but definitely the at media is one you'll use a lot, especially when you're trying to make your site responsive. So adding styles like this is how you make sure that your sites are looking nice on mobile, tablet, and desktop, and even an extra widescreen monitor. All right, now let's chat about something that often gets overlooked, but is super important when you're writing CSS. And these are comments. Now, I know what you're thinking. Comments, but trust me, they're very useful when trying to keep your code clean and easy to manage. And this is especially important when you're working in a team. Now, comments starts with a / and an asterisk. You can see here. And then let's say if I'll write the comment, and then it ends with writing an asterisk and a /. So just like this is the format. Now, even working on personal projects, comments help you and anyone else reading your code understand what's going on. So for example, if we wanted to, and also a shortcut, if you're on Mac, is Command and then writing the /. So you could do it like this. So here I could say, so media query, just written there. You could also have multi-line comments. So if we add a space here, this is description. Now, comments can also come in handy when you want to test something out without fully deleting your code. So let's say if we wanted this to be temporarily out, we could just, do the command or control and /. And if we save, we can see that code is not being used. But it's better than deleting if you feel like you just want to test something out. All right, now let's get into something that might seem basic, but it's quite crucial for keeping your CSS clean and easy to work with, which is white space. So let me actually just replace all this styling. So now when we talk about white space in coding, we're talking about these spaces here and tabs. So sort of how this body style is just tabbed to the right, and also just new lines. Now, it doesn't affect how your code runs, but it can make a massive difference in how easy it is to maintain and read. Now, as you can see here, each new declaration starts on a new line. Now, this format makes it simple to scan through your code and find exactly what you're looking for. All right, guys, that's a wrap on understanding how CSS is structured. You've now got the basics down with selectors, properties, values, and how to keep your code clean with white spaces and comments. Now, with this foundation, you're ready to dive deeper into web development and start creating some seriously nice looking sites. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.